Welcome to Laguna Woods Stories. Our guest today is Bill Cartwright, and Bill is a relatively new resident here in Laguna Woods, but his family goes back. He's a third generation of his family that has lived here in the woods, so you're part of a small group of people who are multi-generational residents. Now, tell us a little bit about the first member of your family that moved in here, Bill.
My grandmother was the first, Agnes Greer, and she moved here, I think I'm not sure what year, but my brother thinks maybe 69, 67, pretty early.
Pretty early. And of course, it was not Laguna Woods Village back then.
No, it was definitely Leisure World. And when we came, I so remember the Globe.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I would be on the Save the Globe committee if it was still extant, I think. But yeah, and she probably, I need to get to the History Center and see if I can look through old directories, because I'm very curious to know.
And that's where to go, and if she was ever written up in the newspaper, they'll have that too. So
yeah, I'd be very curious to know where her manor is. But,
oh yeah. And that was the first generation to live here, and then your mother.
My mother, and then after that, her sister. So the whole.
So you have an aunt, and
yeah, she lived here as well. So
wow.
Yeah, so the whole, my grandmother and her two daughters were all, they were all here together.
And now here you are. You've just fairly recently moved in.
Yes.
And Bill is a very interesting person to me for another reason as well, and that is Bill is a professional film and video editor, and you came to that with some family heritage too, I think. Tell us about that.
Well, my father was, he was a cinematic genius. He made film. He was a documentary filmmaker, and largely an editor, but he made the films that he worked on. He made.
And was he an editor or what all?
He would have been usually credited as an editor. Yes. Yeah. But he made He made, for example, The Making of the President in 1960. He edited that, made that film, and.
So was he a director as well as an editor? Or?
He didn't. He did sometimes direct, but often got direct editing credits. But
and I think he got some awards.
Yeah, the film I was mentioning, The Making of the President in 1960, won the Emmy Award for Best Editing in Television when there was just one editing award in all of television. It also won the Television Program of the Year. There was just one for. And then they had a repeat for Making the President in 1964. And he again won for when there was a single.
No.
And he had other Emmys for.
So these are Emmys.
Emmys, and then my father was the primary editor on Maya Lin, A Strong Clear Vision, which won the Academy Award for Best Documentary, and I did additional editing and sound editing on that as well. Some
of our viewers may not understand the difference between Oscars and Emmys.
Well, Emmys would be for television shows, and Oscars would be for theatrical features or shorts.
More or less parallel awards, but for different media.
Yeah, right. And Emmys, now there's a lot of Emmys. There's probably hundreds given every year, so they've, where sometimes there was one, now there's, like 15 Emmys probably for editing, I bet.
Yeah. So, as a child or young person, were you influenced by your father's profession very much? Was that a reason why you became an editor?
Yes and no. Yes and no, because I was definitely influenced by, he was so busy. he was so busy. But not that he didn't show up, because he was there for my things. But if I really wanted to spend time with my dad, a lot of times on weekends, I would go with him, into work.
Oh yeah.
Because he didn't get weekends off usually.
So you saw him at work firsthand.
Yeah, and most people would have, probably, screamed in pain, because it was so, he'd watch something over and over and over. My little brother had much less tolerance, because,
You have to find exactly that right frame to cut on.
You have to know, boom, that decisive frame, And my father was, an artist, and he knew, when that frame was,
Now, he probably had a theoretical background to know where it was, but there's also kind of a intuition or something that tells you.
It's a combination. He did have a theoretical, background. He studied at USC Cinema School with Slavko Vorkapich, who did all the great MGM montages. Wow. And my father was one of a very core little group. They called them Vorky's Boys. Wow. And they considered themselves a very, like a esprit de corps, smart guys, And they got an Emmy Award as students.
As students?
As students at USC. They weren't national Emmys, but local Emmys. But so my father had ideas about, film planes and lines generating, planes, and he could go on and on about, theoretical filmmaking and montage.
And you got to pick up a lot of this just from being on the site. Huh?
I observed a lot of it. We talked a lot. It wasn't my plan. My plan was to either go to law school, or toward the end, maybe that, and go into diplomatic service, or maybe intelligence. I was approached by a professor who was known to have ties to a certain agency, and they made me aware that they were interested in me if I was interested in them.
Really?
Unfortunately,
that's an offer not many people get.
It's an offer that like from I was a curious kid, even when I was, from a very young age, the world fascinated me, and I started reading the paper every day from kindergarten, and they got me Time Magazine and Newsweek and U.S. News and Life and Look and Saturday Evening Post and National Geographic and everything.
Some of those don't even exist anymore, but we remember them clearly. Yeah.
Things in '82 weren't going so well. Central America, there was death squad activity, and I just couldn't countenance that kind of thing. So it very reluctantly I had to take a pass, and that's when I was actually going to go to Lebanon to join my two best friends, who were turned out to be career photojournalists. We were all very interested in photojournalism, and they went to Beirut. And the Israeli invasion happened just as I was graduating, because I was going to go join up with them, and I didn't want to go into the middle of that mess. But so I came home. It wasn't really a plan to go into film, and this producer had a production just about ready to start, but he was staffed up, and at the last minute, their assistant editor, who would be doing video, dropped out, and he said, "Would you like to? You want to jump in and learn how to use these things?"
Wow.
And it was a time when it was linear video, and it was brand new, breaking in. We were one of the first productions.
It's now all computerized, but it wasn't then.
No, and it was one of the first TV productions that was using linear 3/4-inch video, and nobody knew how to use it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, some people knew how to use it, but very few.
Right, yeah.
Including myself. I had to learn. And it was my job to make sure everything stayed up and running, and so. I pretty soon became like
back in the days of early television. Anything that wasn't shot live was probably on film.
Yeah.
And edited on film, et cetera, et cetera. So the film technique and the video technique pretty much the same, and then comes along higher quality video, and so programs were originated in video.
Right.
And then edited in video. So that was a whole new world. And you were right there at the beginning of that, I guess.
Well, not at the very beginning. I remember working with older editors that were actually, and you may remember, there was 2-inch quad tape.
Oh, yes, right.
And they actually, you could actually physically cut the quad tape. You had to sprinkle, they called magic dust on it. And it would,
some kind of magnetic...
I don't know what it was. All the guys I worked with, we had magic dust.
So you could see where the tracks were.
And you could see where there was a line, and then you had to line it up on a block and cut it, and then, attack.
Because there was, without computer help, there really wasn't any other way of cutting video, I guess.
I mean, I'd never heard of. That was actually physically. They did that with 1/4-inch film. Tape too. And with film, magnetic film is easier because you've got it's the digital tools are a marvelous thing.
Right.
Yes.
I remember as digital is encroaching more and more on the film industry, so-called film industry, there were many film people. Video never. They were always going to shoot film, and now the quality of digital video exceeds film, and virtually everything is shot digitally these days. So, and edited that way. So that major change.
Yeah, as much as I love film, and I do, I was, even at the time, I was, when video was lagging and
you were one of those never video people probably, huh?
No, quite the opposite.
Oh, really?
No, I thought this is going to happen, this is going to come, and it's going to be great when it does. No, I was looking forward to it. I have my appreciation for film, but it's all about telling the story, and I think digital tools are fantastic.
Wow, they certainly are now, and have gotten inexpensive relatively.
Mind-blowing how inexpensive gear is relative to...
The quality is high and the cost is low, so that's a nice combination.
Real people have now with opportunity with very inexpensive
You can
gear.
use your cell phone to shoot relatively high quality video.
You can do marvelous things with cell phones.
Yeah.
Marvelous things. It's one of the things I've been editing the community movie, but as soon as I'm done with that, I've picked up some little mobile lenses for my iPhone, and I've done some test stuff. And it's not a pro Airy or anything, but it has its own really cool look.
Right.
And I haven't been so excited with gear as I am about using these little toy lenses on my phone. I'd like to share with the club and other people my results when I...
What are some of the early projects that you got involved with as an editor?
As an editor, the first project, I was actually hired to be my father's assistant by Alan Landsberg, who did That's Incredible and In Search Of.
About the best learning experience you could have, I imagine.
It was a great learning experience. But something unusual happened. Being an assistant editor with linear video is hugely time-consuming because all the edits had to be reproduced later in an online base. So you had to keep track of what they called an edit decision list.
Right.
And they were like massive amounts of data.
Yeah.
People didn't know how to deal with this. People were writing it down. People were going to punch tape. People were going to printers, but then it was a full-time job keeping track of the numbers. That's what an assistant basically did for most of their long 100-hour week days.
And woe be to you if you get a number wrong, right?
Yeah, because if you're in a very expensive online editing bay and the assistant editor has screwed up the numbers, then it's costing money a lot.
Hundreds of dollars an hour.
When I started in like '82, some of the bays that we went into were $600 an hour in 1982 dollars. When
That's a lot of money.
I don't know what to tell you what that is in today's dollars, but do the math.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
felt the pressure to make sure I was perfect, but
And you had your father's.
long story short, these editing machines put out a serial port so you could go to a printer. I thought there should be a serial port to a personal computer that would capture the data and then would allow one to manipulate it. That didn't exist then.
Oh, yeah.
But there was a guy, I was reading through a magazine, I saw a little blurb on a guy named Lon McQuillan up in Oregon, and I immediately contacted him. I said, Lon, what are you doing? This is brilliant. We need to,
Yeah.
So I was his first customer. And,
Oh, really?
And worked with him to make it better and better.
You're part of video editing history.
When Alan Landsberg came to watch, first, because we were at a house, he was selling his company, and you needed to be outside of that. But when he came, my dad showed him a couple of pieces he did, and then he showed him, without saying anything, he showed him a piece on Martin Guitar Company that I'd edited.
Ah.
And Alan looked at my dad and he said, "Wow, that's a good job, Billy." And he goes, "Oh, well, Bill actually did that one." And Alan looked at me like, how do you have time to edit? And then I ran him through this whole editing program thing. It turned out that he had just signed deals to do 2 daily strip shows.
Oh, my.
So they ran, Monday through Friday, 2 shows.
Strip meaning every day. Yeah.
Strip meaning every day. Yeah, not the X-rated kind of strip. No, just running every TV show
Right.
for every day of the week.
Got to be careful of our words here.
We do indeed. But he was booking online bays all over town. And then he saw this and he said, "This is genius." When we went to post the things, he had an online bay in his facility. We took over my little Apple IIc computer.
Right.
We put it on top of the CMX editor, hooked up a cable,
Yeah.
and downloaded this huge EDL, looked like the Matrix,
Right.
There was a crowd in this room. It felt like Mission Control. People were applauding an edit list.
Right.
Then we sat down to edit. Instead of reading out a thing saying, "Okay, put up reel 23 and cut, start here," and instead the editor just hit the thing. Its tape started rolling, and in a matter of hours, we did what would have taken 3 days.
Wow.
So Alan hired me to be the supervising editor on one of the shows.
Very auspicious start, I have to say.
It was a nice start, and I ended up teaching a lot of editors, a lot of whom I knew because
Right.
they were like friends of my dad's, or I met them through.
And they knew the art of editing, but they didn't know all the recent technique.
Most of them were filmmakers,
Yeah.
and they were good editors. That nothing, they just. This was all.
They might have written books on editing, but they still didn't know how to do this.
Yeah, and it's a mix because the most important thing is you know what you want to do. That's the critical part.
Yeah.
But it is a problem when you're hired on a show and there's production pressure and you need to.
Well, television is demanding because you have that clock. You have that. The show has got to go on. You can't say, well, maybe we'll have this done in 2 weeks. And it's.
Yeah, I know.
I bet you know better than I.
I can't tell you how many nights I've gone without sleep.
Oh boy,
many nights. What we call it?
I've had a few of those myself.
I don't think we'd call it nights. Maybe no extended periods where it's just
Right.
like days and days around the clock.
Yeah.
Not infrequently. You got to deliver.
Got an air date that's got to be done by then.
Yeah, it's got to be then. I've never missed a deadline. So,
Well,
but it's sometimes taken blood. Yeah.
Much to your credit. I, as a film school prof, I have often made the argument that nobody should be allowed to direct until they have edited. What do you think about that?
I think it's a good idea. Yeah. I think it's a good idea.
Because it's very easy for somebody to film something that cannot be edited, that you can't make a smooth edit of it. Directors have to understand the problems you run into as an editor.
Yeah, I can't argue with that logic. Yeah, I think it's.
What are some of the? I'm sure somewhere along the line you've been handed raw material that had problems, and probably every day, and somehow you have to find a way of editing it anyway. And so what are some of your tips for people who are filming and want to be able to edit it?
I guess they fall into two classes. There's some that are like technical, like edits, like I'm working on the community film Twilight Time, which is turning out very well. Hopefully, everybody comes out to see it.
Yeah.
And then there's kind of documentaries and stories that have, I would say, two different things. So regarding story, the most important thing, you got to reach people. You gotta make them feel. Give them a story. Give them something to care about. Linger sometimes.
It's not enough that the pieces just somehow fit together. They have to also affect the heart.
Yeah, you have to evoke an emotional response for it to be a successful film.
Now, what does editing have to do with that? And you don't really think of editing as something that leads to emotion.
Oh, see, I think it's just the opposite. I think that's the key. That's the core of editing. The core of editing is to know when to go to reaction and to let a shot sometimes play open, especially if you've got music, and allow spaces. And it's in that time when the audience has a chance to think and feel. Sometimes it can be within a beat. Sometimes it's just like 15 frames in video. Just you need that, just that time. And sometimes, like the film Twilight Time, had been opening up, and when people saw it, they said, "Oh, it plays so much faster." And I said, "Well, it's actually exactly the opposite. It
seems faster, but you actually slow the progress down a little bit.
You need people to have a moment to
right,
drink it in. And especially when you got great actors and they're giving reactions, and that's.
How do you learn to edit?
I don't know.
Besides, I suppose, doing it, but.
Yeah, I sort of learned by doing, really.
Yeah.
So I didn't go to film school.
Now, are there books on editing that you recommend or can recommend?
Not that I can think of off the top of my head.
All right. So not many will have the opportunity to study editing under their well-known Emmy award-winning dad, which you had, but there's a lot to it, isn't there? A lot more than people think about.
There's a lot to it, especially these days when I mean. If I could hand off the film that I'm working on now to the sound department, and they worked on that, and then we took it to the grading lab, and they worked on it, and then we took it to the mixing. It's easier, when you got more hands. But these days, with the tools, most editors are not just editing, but they have to do. Right. If they're going to do a good job of it, do the post.
So I would guess it's kind of a mixed. Blessing to be able to hand it off to somebody else, but some parts of it, but then does it come back the way you hoped?
Well, usually if I handed things off, I was there.
I see. Okay. You didn't totally hand it off.
No, very rarely.
Yeah.
The last show I worked on, I'd worked with the mixer for so long that it got crazy times.
And the mixer being audio and sound.
Our sound guy, who was Bruce Bruhlman. He was a fantastic sound guy, and that was the only time. There were some weeks there. I said, Bruce, you got it, baby. Be me, and or be him too, because he didn't need me. But yeah, I listen. When I'm at mixes, I'm all involved. But
And now you're involved, living here in Laguna Woods, following in the footsteps of your grandmother and your mother, who both were here before you. I understand your mother was very instrumental in the table tennis development here.
she was, and my grandmother was a member before my mom. So,
is that right?
Yeah, and
Okay.
I'm sort of recalcitrant that I haven't joined the club yet, but I need to. But just for
What was it like? I imagine you visited here when your grandmother was a resident.
I did not a lot, but because she usually came up to LA, yeah, I have memories. They're distant ones, but and then my mom was she was the table tennis queen for a very long time. She loved that club, and it was great because
I understand that she was instrumental in getting the facilities that they now have.
she was. They had a room that they'd called the Cartwright room, but it was a little tiny space, and that was her. She was very proud that. They got such a fantastic, well, I call it a new facility. I guess it's been there a long time. But.
And not too surprisingly, the video club has latched on to a real live editor here, and
the first club I joined. Yeah,
we handed off the kind of midstream here the editing job on the film Twilight Time that premieres. This month, actually, and we had done being one of the previous editors, we had done a rather elementary or maybe crude job of editing it, and you put an editor's finesse in it, and I think it's substantially better than it would have been.
I think it's a really charming film. I think people are going to really be happy. The actors all, the performances were good, the direction was good, the camera work was good. It needed a little oven, and it's had some, and I think people are going to be really very pleased. It's been fun. I've been treating it like putting in crazy hours, like I'm getting money for it. Almost.
Yeah. That's kind of the strange thing here. Many of us work as if we were being paid, but we're not.
Welcome to retirement,
right?
I guess, right?
Yeah. So it's a new life for you, retirement, but you're fitting right in very well.
Oh, there's such a great group here, and so many talented people, and so many departments, writers and actors and musicians. I want to help fuel it all, you know. And and in personal news, I just heard from I made a film with Clint Eastwood on the history of the writers and artists that founded Carmel. It's called Don't Pave Main Street.
Wow!
And the Carmel Film Festival is going to fly me up for they're going to on October 2nd up in Carmel at the Golden Bough Theater. It's going to be
venue.
30-year screening, and so that was part of their film festival. So
Bill, we're out of time. You understand about that, and so our guest has been Bill Cartwright, film video editor and member of the Laguna Woods Video Club. Thanks for joining us,
Thank
Bill.
you, Tom.
Join us again next time for another Laguna Woods Stories.